Guys, I was wrong. I'm man enough to admit when I was wrong, and I was wrong. Since this channel started, the one thing that I have been headstrong about is that you need to avoid all-in-one turntables. And that's because, for the most part, almost entirely, they're made with really low quality parts that are going to sound really bad as it comes out of the crappy speakers, and the parts themselves, especially the parts that touch the record, are not good for the record long term. Also, because of the lack of quality of the build, occasionally the turntable will cause your records to skip when they shouldn't be skipping. Now, all of these things are a recipe for a bad experience with vinyl, but something happened recently where I'm now like, all right, there's something that's worth getting that's an all-in-one, and I'm going to talk about it right now. My opinion on this subject and my world were shattered when I was introduced to the Plus Audio record player. So this is an all-in-one unit that is definitely a premium unit. It is not for everyone. It's for a very specific subset of music fans, people. But if you're in this subset, this is an amazing buy. And I'm going to explain to you what it is and who it's for and my general thoughts on it, good and bad. Let's talk about the table real quick. The actual turntable is a Project Debut 3, which is an awesome mid-range table. It's definitely a step up from the Fluance RT81 and the Audio-Technica LP20, which are two tables that I always recommend beginners to get, versus all the ones that are in the price class below it. The base model comes with an Ortofon OM10 cartridge, which is a pretty solid cartridge, but you can upgrade it to their premium version, which has a carbon arm and the Ortofon Red, which is a very popular starter cartridge. I think it sounds pretty great. I probably prefer the Nagaoka for that price range, but the red is certainly nothing to scoff at. You can also upgrade that further to the blue if you so choose. What I think is the most genius aspect of this entire build is the way that the turntable is situated within the base, which is where the speaker is contained. It's set up in a way where it's not actually touching anything on the sides, so it prevents any kind of physical or acoustic feedback, which usually is the big problem with all-in-ones. It has a 4-speaker array composed of custom drivers, 2 high excursion 3.5-inch aluminum cone woofers, a pair of 1-inch soft dome tweeters, and they're driven by Class D amplifiers that put out a total of 100 watts of power. Truthfully, I'm not a gearhead, and that description doesn't necessarily mean a lot to me, as it may not mean to you. If you are a gearhead, you can appreciate that to some extent. All that matters to me is that it sounds really good. Here, take a listen. Can't tell from a YouTube video how good a record player sounds. Unfortunately, that is one of the limitations of the medium. But I will tell you this, it is surprisingly wide and rich and room-filling. There's 3 different modes for the sound, so you have a mono, stereo, and a wide mode. Having the speakers pointing in 3 different directions is actually a really smart engineering aspect because it allows for the sound to fill the room, even multiple rooms of a house, really well compared to just something that fires forward. The bass is the only thing that's not super hefty as to be expected with something like this, but it's certainly no slouch. If you really want that bass, you can connect an external subwoofer to it. And if you wanted to, if you didn't like the speakers, you could connect these to an external pair of speakers through USB, aux, lots of different options. If you're doing that though, I don't know why you would purchase this unit, because the big selling point of this unit is ease, lack of taking up a lot of space, simplicity of setup. There's a lot of things to be said about this that are really positive, and adding all these elements to the unit is not necessarily going to take advantage of those. There is also a Bluetooth option to play sound from any device that you can connect it to. I will say that is not a great draw for this. The Bluetooth sounds good, adequate. I wouldn't say it sounds amazing. The records are definitely the draw because those sound fantastic. Setup was really simple too. You kind of just plug 2 different things into the base from the turntable itself. Then you set up the turntable as you normally would, the counterweight, anti-skate, all the stuff you'd have to do on any table worth its weight. Also, the table just looks really cool. It has this awesome cloth wrapped around the speakers. It looks very premium. The walnut and the aluminum combo also looks fantastic. And it's super heavy. This does not feel like a cheap toy like a lot of the all-in-ones do. This has some heft to it. This really feels like a premium piece of gear. The LED screen is pretty good, and I like the remote to be able to control it from close or far. I think that's a nice little touch. One quirk that I noticed that is kind of a downside, not necessarily something that would detract me from wanting it, is when you switch it to phono mode, which causes the platter to start spinning, if you want it to stop, you have to switch it to the next mode and then go all the way back around. So there's like 5 or 6 different modes on the LED screen, so you can't go backwards to it. You have to go switch off, it stops the platter, and then you have to switch back around to phono to start it again. Kind of a strange little quirk, but something you would get used to very quickly. Now, this turntable is not for everyone like I talked about. If you've been watching this video, you're like, this is the solution I've been looking for. The price tag might be a bit of a turnoff to you. The base model will run you roughly $1,500, and the upgraded one is close to $1,800. This is an easy and compact solution to get hi-fi audio immediately into your location. I'm actually currently using this as a second turntable downstairs when I'm doing stuff around the house, making dinner, and it's been so nice to be able to listen to records outside of this record cave that I find myself in every day for work and hanging out in. Is it as robust and sonically impressive as my Clearaudio Marantz Fluance floor speaker combo? Of course not. I mean, you gotta be realistic about what you get, but I will say that for an all-in-one and for just any kind of setup that's not like a traditional audiophile setup, I was blown away by how good this thing sounds. I think this appeals to a couple people. People that have a lot of money lying around and feel like they just want to get into vinyl without all the cumbersome aspects, which is having the right space to be able to put your receiver, your turntable, your speakers properly laid out. Or let's say you're a college kid and you happen to have a decent amount of money, or you're getting a really nice gift for your upcoming dorm room and there's not a lot of space but you want to play records. This is so much better in every way than getting a Crosley and having a terrible sonic experience, and then having this, which will give you a true hi-fi experience without the massive footprint. To be fair, something that kind of is interesting to me as I watch the vinyl community through various aspects, whether it be Reddit or Facebook groups, is I see people that are spending $500, $1,000 on records a month, just buying, consuming on Reddit vinyl collectors and, Discog, just buying, and they're playing these things on $100 or $200 turntables. For me, that just doesn't make a lot of sense. If you're investing that much money into the hobby, you should invest in your setup so you can enjoy the records to the fullest and really enjoy the sound and just like have that rich experience rather than just consuming and collecting, which, has its merit in its own right. But I will say, if you just kind of hold back from buying as much for a little bit and save up for something like this, if this would fit your space limitations or just like you're frustrated with trying to figure out all the components, just want something easy, I think this is a really, really great option. I want to be upfront with you guys, and I requested that they send me one of these to take a look at and listen to and appreciate. But I will say this has not colored my opinion at all of this product. I'm being completely honest with you guys. There are so few faults that I can think of. The weird phono thing that I mentioned is the only real fault because everything else sounds fantastic. I'm really enjoying listening to records downstairs, and what's cool is that listening through different cartridges, you hear things slightly differently. So I'll play a record up here and down there, and while they're not necessarily, night and day different, you do hear some slight differences in how the audio is colored, and I like that. I think that's a fun aspect as well. Overall, this is a very impressive piece of technology, and you get what you pay for. There's a specific subset of vinyl fans or future vinyl fans that will really benefit from this, and I think that if you do get this, and that's the kind of thing you're looking for, you will be very impressed on a visual and a sonic level. Or if you're just looking for a backup piece like I have for a different room or floor of your house, this is a really nice option if you still want to have that hi-fi experience, because I don't know about you guys, but I can't go back. Like, after having listened to a hi-fi setup for so long, listening to music through another kind of setup that's on the cheaper side, it just sounds so much worse to me. So being able to listen to records without having to duplicate my setup and not feel like I'm losing that much in audio quality is a really nice thing, especially because I have a 2-floor townhouse and, I can only listen to records when I'm in this room until now. Truthfully, the price is the worst part if I had to say something, and I do believe you get what you pay for, and I do believe that this is made with really high quality parts, and I think you do get a good thing for what it costs. So this is not for everyone. I understand it's expensive, but I wanted to share with you guys my thoughts on it because I saw this circulating and I thought this was really cool, and I wasn't sure how it would sound, but when I got it, I was like really, really impressed, and I am using it a lot more than I expected to. So if you're looking for a simple solution, definitely check out the Plus One. I'll link to it in the description. If you have any questions on it, I'm happy to try to answer them as best I can. But yeah, until then, enjoy listening to some records, and more videos coming soon, especially about the upcoming TMR record store. So make sure you're subscribed, and see you guys soon. Take it easy.